Why am I so nervous?
It's common. Especially you've never done like nothing like this before.
Yeah. You already know how we rock it, man. It's your boy P.Weezy, man. That's 2 E's, 1 Z. Please don't ask me why. It is Thursday, man. It is another day that God done brought forth, man. So before I start the show, I want to thank God for waking us up somewhere, somehow. Somebody did not wake up to see this day. So if you got some breath in your lungs and you're out here trying to get some, man, you thank the man above for allowing us to see another day. You already know how I am rocking, man. We got another dope show. Immediately after I conclude this dope interview, we will be having the Movies and Shaker show. Big shout out to Jackpot Gamble. It's going down like a plane crash March 26th, right here at the Atlanta radio station, Omega Center, 3951 Snapfinger Road, March 26th, 5 p.m. This is the second annual Atlanta Radio Station Awards show. It's up and it's stuck, so y'all definitely be there, be in the place, have your face in the place. All right. We have an exclusive interview with a young lady named Diachelle. She's a very, very intriguing young lady. I met her through a mutual friend named Russo, who's a dope person to know. You know, I met her. She's from Michigan, and we just been connected. You know what I mean? We stay connected, and she's always been supporting Atlanta radio station. And she brought this young lady here to give us some news that we can definitely use. So how are you doing, Miss Diachelle?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine. And before we get into this deep interview, I want to tell you I appreciate you stopping by Atlanta radio station. You could have been anywhere you wanted to be to do your interview, and you chose to rock out with Atlanta radio station. So that definitely means a lot to me. You feel me? So I appreciate that. Well, tell our listeners, as well as myself, tell me a little bit about you and where you're from.
Okay. Well, like you said, my name is Diachelle. I'm originally from Virginia. I moved to Georgia about 11 years ago. I am a very laid back person. I just like to, spend time with my family, and I just have a passion for inspiring people. My heart really goes out mostly toward women, just because, there's just so much, I guess, pressure on image and appearance, and, there are a lot of insecurities. So I just spend a lot of time trying to motivate, uplift, and encourage.
Okay, and that's dope. And is this something that you've always done and you didn't realize it was your passion, or is this something that you've taken with you along your journey in life?
It is something that I've always done. It has always been a passion, but I really didn't know just how impactful it was at first. And then I just had, a lot of people that just would tell me, hey, I like when you, do this, give me cards, or, make sure you acknowledge me. So, I began to realize just how much of an impact it had. So I just decided to just keep it up.
Just continue.
Mm-hmm.
And that brings me to my second question. Is this part of the start of the podcast? And what is the name of the podcast?
So the name of the podcast is Uniquely Flawed. And that has a lot to do with it. So yes, and I got that name because, I feel like we all have flaws. We all have different things that we may not be proud of, right? But the whole thing is to make sure that we embrace it. So, we're all unique, and that's why I got the name.
Okay, and when I looked at it, I'm like, that's pretty dope. I mean, because you can be unique and flawed. You know what I mean? Because there is no perfect person that walks the earth, but we all are unique in our own way because God gave us all uniqueness. And to put those two together, it's like a balance of the two.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think that's definitely a dope name. With the podcast, what can the people who've maybe never seen your podcast or even seen some of the visuals, what can they expect from you when they tune in and tap in on your YouTube page?
What they can expect is real experiences, life experiences. A lot of it is things that I personally went through. A lot of it is spiritual, just is something for everybody, in my opinion. I have one episode that features my son where we talk about today's culture versus when I grew up. I have things on there about just Facebook or any social media page, you know, how we tend to hide behind it and we post things that may not really paint the most accurate picture of our life. So I just try to touch on all things that I feel like we all can relate to and that also, you know, may encourage somebody along the way.
Okay, that's dope. Shout out to everybody that's tuning in on the live. I definitely wanted to give Baby Girl opportunity to be on the live, but we are doing this live on AtlantaRadiostation.com. So you guys make sure to tune in. You may learn something. You know what I mean? She may give you some news that you can use or to inspire you to help inspire other people. So I don't be on the live this much, man, but y'all please tune in to AtlantaRadiostation.com. Like right now, like not yesterday, not later on, but like right now. So I'm going, but y'all tune in and y'all can call in at 678-974-5940, like that 40-ounce your daddy used to drink back in the day. Okay. All right. Okay, so cool. So what I'm gonna do right now, we're gonna be right back. I'm gonna hit y'all with a hot single. And then we'll be right back with
Diachelle.
All right. And she's really from VA, 804-757.
804.
804. I got it right. All right, we're gonna give y'all some what we gonna give y'all? We'll give y'all some rags and riches. We'll be right back. We're serving the streets the heat like it's crack, man. You already know we'll be right back.
I'm shaking all these jitters. That ain't too bad.
No, you did fabulous. Nice sound.
I can hear it.
But you don't hear it. Yes, it's not coming over.
Okay. I just keep thinking about you and where y'all going after. And then, you know,
Oh, I'll tell you all about it.
no, I'm just saying that's keeping me like just, you know, entertained over here. So,
And you say y'all going where?
To the sausage party.
To the Sox Park?
Sausage party.
Oh.
that's not how she originally explained it to me. She said, you said you was going to do what?
You want to
Paint
take
somewhere?
some sausage?
Oh, I thought it was a sip and paint.
It is.
Oh.
We about to see them things.
Look at that.
But we don't want to see no piano. We ain't paying to see no piano.
Oh, no, that's right.
That's not what they had in the video. So wait, they better have.
They better
I'm not advertising. Can I get a refund, please? Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely gonna get some pictures of y'all.
And on this one, we do the last two, but I also want to get into the YouTube, a little bit, tell them where they can find you at, and subscribe to Instagram. I put it on the video, so after they see our video, they go ahead and click on the video, see what you got popping.
You said the last two questions?
Okay, let me say something real quick. Did you make that shirt? I mean, is that shirt on your site?
This one? Oh, nah, I bought this one.
All right. We are back, man. That was Ride Wave. Featuring Lil Baby, man. Rags to riches. It ain't where you start. It's actually where you finish. You know, I know a lot of people that came from rags to riches. And it took work to get there. You know what I mean? It just didn't happen overnight. So, you know, never give up on your dreams. Never give up on success. And my definition of success is the start and the completion of something. And the money comes behind your hustle. I think a lot of people identify success with money. I identify success with the starting and the completion of something. So if you start something and complete it, it was a success. And if you have any type of hustle to yourself, the money will soon follow. So, you know, don't ever look at success as a monetary form, because I think when we do that, we kind of demoralize what we're trying to do. You could be successful at something, but if you don't generate the money that you expect from it, it's like, I wasn't successful.
Right.
And I don't think that that's the case. So I always remind people that the success is the starting and the completion of anything that you do in life. And the money gonna come behind your hustle. So if you ain't got no hustle, bro, you in trouble. You know what I mean? So we are back with the sexy Diachelle from VA in Augusta. chilling with her homegirl Russo, my player partner, A1 since day one. So we're gonna continue with this dope conversation. So you were speaking on, just enlightening and giving positive reinforcements and just really trying to help people who may not be in a right mental space or because it's a rough life. You know what I mean? Like my mom used to tell me, like, the world will beat you down. You know what I mean? But you got to be able to get up. It's 12 rounds. You know what I mean? You can get knocked down, but don't get knocked out.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I see a lot of people who got knocked down and they got up and they won the fight.
Right.
But when that man say it's over with, it's over with. You know what I mean? So by you providing a podcast uniquely flawed, I think that's something that everybody can identify with.
Right.
One of the questions I would like to ask you personally is that through your course of life, do you have any type of regrets, anything that you may look back on and say, well, I should have did it this way, maybe I would have got a better outlook or a better outtake on it? Or do you look at everything more or less as just a learning process and experience?
I think a long time ago, I would say that I had things that I wanted to do over. But as the years went on and as I grew more, then I would say that everything happened for a reason, and I decided to use those as learning lessons, just to make me better. So no, I don't have any regrets. I think everything happened perfectly to shape me into who I am now.
That's dope. And I was looking forward to one of them biggest regrets. I was over here all juiced up. I'm looking you dead in the eye of me here. But that's an excellent analogy. Because in order to succeed, there has to be failure.
Right.
I don't know anybody who was just successful off the muscle, out the gate. You know what I mean? So I think failure is a part of success.
Right.
If you're scared to fail, you'll never reach a level of success. You know what I mean? So very well said. You know what I mean? And even when I applied it to myself, I asked myself, if I can do things or if I would change things. I wouldn't, even with me going to prison and losing a lot and, just going through the adversity of being what they identify as a street nigga to a nigga that's got to go to work. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I see people every day at my job and they like, nah, P.Weezy, nigga, you working? Yes. You know what I mean? The Bible says if you don't work, you don't eat. You know what I mean? So, and then it builds character.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because, when you give fast money, you lose it just as fast, so. To confirm what you just said, as far as not having regrets, I think people who have regrets, that's carrying like that extra baggage. Today's Thursday, so if you haven't taken your trash out, take that shit out because the garbage man is on his way. Don't carry that extra trash with you. And I didn't understand when Erykah Badu made the song Bag Lady.
Right.
I was thinking about a bum carrying a bag. You know what I mean? Because I was so naive to the lyrics of what she was saying, but she was really talking about people carrying baggage that they don't have to carry.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it becomes a burden. And then, when you carrying a whole bunch of shit that you don't need, you can't go nowhere. You got to worry about this. So,
and then you damage other lives too.
That's deep. That's true. I mean, and you know what someone told me, hurt people.
That's right.
And I had to think about that. And I'm like, wow, that's deep. I mean, because that's the truth. If a hurt person is hurt, they don't care about hurting someone else. And I think when we talk about relationships, if a person is hurt, they may do something like I heard a couple guys say, oh man, she called the goddamn police on me, shouted. She was hurt. You know what I mean? But then she gonna probably be the one that's gonna bond your ass out. You know what I mean? Put some money on your books. But hurt people will hurt people.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And a lot of times it's instantly. You know what I mean? It's like a reaction.
Right.
I tell younger kids, don't make a 15-second decision that could cost you 20 years of your life.
Right.
So when you deal with emotions and off of emotions, you're not thinking rational, and then you make dumb choices that you can't undo.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's
so
right.
we talked about regrets. Let's talk about accomplishments. What would you say some of your biggest accomplishments have been?
I would say one was my children. Like a mother, I think that's one of the most rewarding things. Like just
and your face lit up when you mentioned the kid. Like you started blushing.
Because I just I look at Facebook, and when I see memories pop up, I just start smiling instantly, and I send them to them. And of course they hate it, but I love it. But
how many kids you have?
3.
Okay.
Yeah, 3 boys.
Three boys.
Mhm.
Okay. And how was that experience raising 3 young men or 3 boys to become men?
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. They didn't give me any trouble. Well, us, me and my husband, they didn't give us any trouble. They weren't bad in school. I still have one that's in school. He'll graduate next year, and his birthday is today. So happy birthday, Christian!
Definitely happy birthday. He's
17.
what is it? Pisces?
He's a Aries.
Aries. Okay.
I mean,
Pisces
no. Aries, Aquarius. I think.
Aquarius. Okay, yeah, and then Pisces,
Yeah.
and then okay. So your kids grew up in a 2-parent home.
It was off and on in the beginning, and then it was a 2-parent home.
It wasn't.
It was.
Okay.
So it was off and on in the beginning, and then toward the end, it was and stayed a 2-parent home.
And I think that's really important. I grew up. By the time I would say a single parent because my mom was there, but my dad wasn't there. It affects the boys more.
Yeah.
Like when my mom would have to raise the boys, she would be a lot harder on us because she didn't know how to raise a young man to become a man.
Right.
During the time that it was off and on, did you have any, like, what did you have to go through? What did you see? Like, damn, it's real with these little boys.
It still wasn't bad because I had a strong support system. So I have an older brother who has been with me pretty much through thick and thin. So I had him, and I have 2 other brothers. So I still had men in the picture that could be there, But the only thing with me, with my kids, that I had to get used to as far as boys was, I guess, the puberty stages and, the things that come with that.
Okay.
So-
Feeling like they're grown or just
Not even that, just the whole, how boys have to, I guess, they find themselves.
Okay.
So just, kind of walking in on those awkward moments. But
Right.
other than that, that's the worst of it.
As a mother, did you have to talk to them about the birds and the bees? I know it's old and cliches, but those were some of the things that we had a health class for. Like they wouldn't be specific with it, but was that something that you had to actually discuss with the kids?
I did discuss it with them. I discussed it with them. My brother, my husband, who is their father, he discussed it with them. So they got it all the way around. So it wasn't a thing, where they lacked. And school nowadays really don't. I don't even know if they still do it, but if they did, I think it was real brief.
Right, and it was extremely brief with us.
Yeah.
And I personally never had the discussion with my mom or my dad about the birds and the bees. You know what I mean?
Dad had it. My dad talked to us about it, but it wasn't the analogy he gave wasn't.
And if you think about it,
me more.
Right. When they talk about the birds and the bees, you're thinking what bird and what bee. But I think it was just more. It's kind of like a mushy situation I have to talk to the kids about. Okay, so you said, and that's dope because being a parent, it has no instruction manuals.
It doesn't.
And I do know that there are a lot of single parents, and they need advice.
Yeah.
Even the Bible say don't lean upon your own understanding.
That's right.
But if you can give information or give situations to parents, because when I see on the news, and now you started off saying, you really want to support the women. The women have the hardest job,
right?
Because now they have to raise the family,
right?
You know what I mean? So when I think of the woman having to raise younger boys, that kind of worries me because the boys are emotional when they're with a woman,
right?
And that's just period. Women are emotional beings,
right?
And I think a lot of times that emotion carries on to the kids. What advice would you give a single woman who's raising 2 or 3 boys by herself, as far as to maybe keep them away from, the gang culture or streets, morals, values? Because I think those are some of the things that parents have strayed away from. But what advice would you give to a parent who has to install those into the kids?
One thing I would say is to make sure break any generational curses. Like, you know, a lot of things that our parents did and their parents did, you know, and it may not have been the best, but they did the best with what they had.
Right.
But anything that, you know, you see that you can get takeaways from, whether good or bad, I would say use those. You know what I mean? Like, so if you have parents that weren't affectionate, you know, like I did the opposite with my kids.
Okay.
So I showed them extra affection and I, you
Right.
know, used a lot of power and confident words. You know, you're handsome and you can be whatever you want to be, you know, as opposed to those that didn't get it. So that's one thing I would say. And also just be mindful of the things that you say. So even if the father wasn't in the picture, you still want to make sure you're not saying anything, you know, negative against him around the kids. I mean, they still, you know, that's not fair to them. You know?
That's true. And I think I was speaking to you about that.
Mhm.
And shout out to Mama Wells. I love my mama and I love my dad. But, you know, when a woman is mad, you know, she'll say things, you know, and she used to tell us things like, you know, you just like your goddamn daddy.
Mhm.
And, you know, she wasn't saying it smiling. So I'm like, well, he must not have been a great guy, man, because she was hollering. But as I got older, you know, I realized that it's not really what my mama said. It's not what he said. It's the truth.
Right.
And you can learn a truth about your mother and your dad from your siblings,
Mhm.
especially because I was the baby. So I didn't get to see things the way everybody else saw it
Right.
because I was too young to understand it.
Mhm.
But that's definitely some good advice. You know, don't bash, and men don't bash the woman,
That's right.
and women don't bash the men. Like,
Right.
you know, as an adult, you know, because what you're really doing is splitting the kids up.
Mhm.
You know, now you're making them make a decision on who's the good parent
Yep.
and who's the bad parent.
Yep.
In all actuality, there isn't such. There's not a good parent and a bad parent. There's just parenting.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So parents, if you're listening, you know, I know there's a lot of guys who may have left the plate, but another dude stepped up to the table. Salute to him. But you still don't want to bash
That's
the
right.
father of your child. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because it has an effect on the kids. It really
Mhm.
does. And then when you disrespect them, when you disrespect him in front of them, sometimes the kids feel like they can be disrespectful.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And then it leads to a slippery slope
Yeah.
because now there's no respect.
Right.
And then a man give him a reason to say, well, fuck it, I'm coming back around here. You know what I mean? So I think females have to step aside from the
Mhm.
emotion and just be parenting. A lot of relationships don't work out.
Right.
But what I tell people is that the kids never asked to be here. They
That's
didn't,
right.
they didn't say, well, let me be here. So, you know, as parents, you know, we have to put away our parental differences
Mhm.
for the sake of the kids. Some people are able to do it and some people are not. You know, my
Right.
mom and dad, they've been divorced for well over 30 years. They stay in the same neighborhood.
Mhm.
I can't get them in the same room
Wow.
after 30 years. And so I'll be like, y'all really must still be in love with each other because after 30 years,
Right.
I could be anywhere with you
Right.
because I know who I am and you should
Right.
know who you are.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But so that was definitely a dope answer. Now as far as the passion for the podcast, has this something that you've always been passionate about? I know we touched on it a little bit earlier. And did that passion lead you to want to do a podcast?
The podcast idea came to me, I would say, probably about a year ago. But at the time, I just didn't know how to go about it. I know with me, I'm really like a shy type person. So I felt like, you know, we're doing the podcast. I don't have to really be in front of the camera, you know, so it made me more comfortable. And then also just, you know, keeping up with time and technology, it just seemed like that's where everything is leading to.
Right.
So I was like, you know what, I think that'll be a good idea. And from time to time, you know, I can interview people and get, you know, different insights. So I saw how I could do it and I just ran with it.
And I actually went to look at some of your content. I know that you have several videos up. It wasn't like, you know, like you've been putting up content.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the first ones that I had watched, it was more or less, you know, speaking about how the devil moves and, you know, how we need to be able to wake up being blessed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like sometimes when you wake up in the morning, that determines how your day is going to go.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if
Right.
you woke up in a bad mood, it carries on throughout the whole
Mhm.
day. You know, so when I was listening to some of your videos on your podcast, you know, it was inspiring to me. It made me want to think. It made me say that I'm gonna put the devil behind me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's easy. He's the art of destruction. He's
Yeah.
the art of darkness. You know what I mean? And if we're not conscious up here,
Mhm.
then we can allow him in
That's right.
really, really, really fast.
Right.
So as your podcast grows, I think what's going to potentially happen is that people are going to be so engaged with your conversation, they're going to start asking you questions.
Mhm.
So as your podcast grows and people ask you questions in the comments, you can use that as one of your next episodes.
Right.
Shout out to everybody that commented. I'm going to touch on a few of the comments that were left
Mhm.
and give them some insight, because people want answers.
Yeah.
They just want to know that somebody cares enough to give them the right answer.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they say, you have to search for the truth.
That's right.
You have to search for knowledge.
Right.
And not to go too deep into spirituality, but do your kids, do they attend any spiritual services? Are they into the church?
Yeah, we go. Me and my husband go every Sunday. My 17-year-old, he goes with us. My middle son goes. It depends on what time he has to work.
Okay.
So as long as if he has to work after like 12:30, then we're good. But if he has to work anytime between that, then he has to stay.
Well, let me ask you this: is it something that they choose to do, or is it something that they're made to do?
No, it's not a choice. No, I mean, but at first I was kind of lenient, with that. But at the same time, as I started studying more and I started realizing like, hey, I don't want to be like the one that is responsible for not making sure that you are learning and getting this knowledge. So if I give you a choice, they're not smaller anymore. So of course, if I give you a choice, and I know, especially my baby, he's gonna want to stay home and sleep in, and get up and play
basketball
games.
or go outside.
Right. That's not gonna be his first option.
That's
and it's not that he hates going, but that's just not gonna be his first
What
option.
kid wants to go to
Right.
church? And the reason why I asked is because I wasn't given a choice.
Mhm.
Every Sunday, I sung in a choir. I served on the usher board. I used to have to go to Bible study. I used to be so mad at my mom because I'm like, all the kids are going outside to play and I got to be up in church. But I think that was one of the greatest attributes that my mother gave me, because without spirituality, I probably would be a whole different individual on this earth. You know what I mean? So I tried to apply, what church gave me, which was the fact that you have to be accountable for your actions, and you're going to have to see God. You're going to have to go before that throne. Whoever you pray to, you're going to have to go before that throne and be accountable for the things.
And I don't want it to come back that I was the one that kept them, from being able to receive that message. So, it's not an option.
And I'm going to say this to parents. If you've installed the morals and values in your kids and you know that you've done these things, then like my mom told me, she can literally wash her hands.
That's right.
And she can leave it to God.
And that's right.
You know what I mean? But if you haven't given your kids the right instructions or the right directions and they crash out, yes, you are responsible. I mean, there's no way around it. Now, you could say, well, I didn't know, but even when you go before the courts, they say ignorance of the law is no excuse.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So I think, it's mandatory as parents that, we do install morals, values, and a form of spirituality. And once they get grown, like my mama said, I said, well, Mama, when can I not go to church? When you get up out my house. You know what I mean? And I respect it, so I would definitely advise, all mothers and parents, even if you're not into the church, you know what I mean? Send them to church, you know what I mean? So they can have at least a better understanding. They've taken it out of school. They've taken it, if they take it out of schools, they take it out of the house. You ain't gonna hear about it in the streets. And then after a while, if there's no belief in God, and then everybody's on demon time and they savages and they gremlins, then we have a world full of animals. You know what I mean?
Basically.
So definitely, y'all keep promoting basic instructions before leaving this earth. So well, that's good. I mean, you must have been raised by an old school mom. Now, let me ask you this too. Did the kids get whippings?
Mine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm just asking. You know what I mean? Because you saying like
they weren't excluded.
Okay.
Now they weren't bad kids. They did things that if it required discipline, then that's what it was.
I mean, because it also says in the Bible, spare the rod,
spoil the child.
Right.
That's
so
right.
Okay, and you seem like you come from I don't want to use the word strict household, but a structured.
I wouldn't say that. My mom, I live with my mom. And, she got into church later on. And, then we started going, and I thank her for that because that was like the greatest thing. But my dad was a Jehovah's Witness. Well, he is a Jehovah's Witness.
Okay.
So, I went over there every other weekend. My mom was strict. She was strict.
Okay.
Very strict. Like, the house had to be clean before she got off work, that type thing, So, and yeah.
Was it clean before she got home?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right. And those some of the things that and we spoke about, parents not having no instruction manual. And you talked about, bringing some of the things that you learned. What were some of the things that your mom taught you that you carried over raising your kids? Was cleaning up one of them?
I
boys don't like
now,
to
and
clean.
they still don't. And they still don't. So we still have to stay on them about that. But just, my mom, she raised us different. So honestly, I can't say, aside from church and, just teaching them to be respectful and mannerable. But as far as like the other, discipline techniques and things, I didn't carry that over because I didn't agree with
You
it.
didn't subscribe to that.
Yeah.
And do you think they worked for you?
Me doing it the way I did it?
No, the way that she did it. Do you think that?
No.
Okay. Okay.
No.
No, and I mean that's totally fine because parents aren't perfect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of parents feel like when my mom used to say, "Do as I say and not as I do." And to me, that was like the weirdest thing. Like if I see you doing something that you shouldn't be doing, but you telling me not to do it, it's gonna be hard for me to just to compute that. You know what I mean? Because most kids emulate their parents.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So you have to kind of.
Absolutely. And I know my mom, I can tell that she brought over a lot of things, how she was raised.
Right.
And again, I don't hold it against her. I figured she did the best that she could, but I just knew that those things weren't gonna work for me.
Right. And that's true. Like I was explaining when I was speaking earlier about once a parent does what they're supposed to do, even in my mom's case, like she did everything that she could as a single mother. But at some point I made certain choices that had nothing to do with how I was raised.
Right.
And I ended up going to prison. And my mama was crying. That hurt me the most. The fact that my mom blamed herself for my actions. And she thought she was the worst parent. And I kept telling her, like, no, mama, you did everything. Like I jumped off the porch and wanted to get some fast money and thought I was slicker than recycled oil and got caught. And now it's time for me to pay the piper.
Right.
My daddy told me, boy, you think you so goddamn slick when them crackers catch your ass, boy, they gonna lose you. I thought my daddy was just talking. They were trying to lose me. The first charge I ever caught in my life, I had never really been to jail. They were talking about giving me 10 years. You know what I mean? So parents, if you've installed morals, values, respect, and what not to do, you don't feel sorry for the kids. I mean, sometimes, and I get a lot of slack when I say this, but I feel like everybody should go to jail. Everybody, just like playing Monopoly. Don't go past go, don't get the $200, go to jail. I just feel like that because if they get the opportunity to experience it and you go back, it must have been something that you liked about it. You know what I mean? But when you don't have that experience and you make an impulsive decision based upon an emotion and then they hit your ass with those big boy charges, mama ain't gonna have enough money to get you out. And now you're in there. You know what I mean? And now you want to call mama and keep her phone bill up and send me some money. And mama, they trying to gang bang me and do this. No, just relax. And then going to jail don't make you real. It make you a dummy because you got caught. How about that? It don't make you real. Like niggas feel like, oh, I'll go to jail. I'm gonna get some stripes. No, you are gonna get some strikes. And like baseball, nigga, 3 strikes and you out. You keep getting them strikes and they're gonna send you somewhere that you don't want to be. You know what I mean? So that's definitely something I wanted the youth to know. Like, your friends, they're not your friends. When you go to jail, they're gonna be trying to talk to your old lady. They might even break in your house because they know that you in jail. So that ain't no place that I would wish my enemy.
Absolutely. And I tell my kids, a real friend is not going to put you in any type of position where you're going to get in trouble. A real friend is going to try to talk you out of it. And they're not going to accompany you, wherever you're going that's going to get you in that trouble.
Right.
They're not going to be a part of it.
You remember that movie that Ice Cube made when they was finna go slide on the homie? And that one dude was like, let me out the car. Ice Cube heard him and pulled over and he got out. That was real.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and furthermore, Ice Cube knew in that movie, if you take somebody with you that don't want to be there, I promise you, he's gonna be the first nigga to tell.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to think about it. They let him out the car and they went and slid on whoever they slid on, but they let him out.
Yeah.
And they didn't think no more because everybody's not about that life.
Yeah.
And if you have a real friend, he's not gonna want you to ruin your life
Right.
just so you could tell him
Right.
you real. Oh, shorty, I roll with you. Yeah, you finna ride down and do them 20 years with him too. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So that's definitely something that I want the listeners to be able to install in their kids. And my mama told me when I was young, boy, you ain't got no friends. I'm your only friend. I'm like, damn, mama, you kind of mean to be my friend. I said, if you my friend, I hate to see how my enemy's gonna do.
Yeah.
But what would you say is the most important lesson that you've learned?
To not judge a book by its cover. So I have ran across people who, you think that hey, this person cool, we hit it off, you know what I mean? We're good. But then you learn that person may not be the person you thought they may be, you thought they may have been. And then on the flip side, I've met people who, you just don't really think that you're going to hit it off with this person. And then turns out that this is one of the most realist, people that they out, they down for you. So like, I'm gonna use Danielle for an example, right? So when we met, and I didn't have anything negative, against her, I just didn't think that we would click on a level to where, we can relate to a lot of things, and then hence here I am here. You know what I mean? So I would say just, the perception piece, right? So really just sit back and observe a person before you just, you're quick to judge them and feel like, hey, well, this person is like this. Because I've had it happen to me too, when people will say, well, I ain't like you at first, so I thought you was mean. And I'm like, you never said anything to me. You know what I mean? True. So what were you basing it off of? That's true. I would just say, just learn people, before you make judgment.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that. I mean, because I think people tend to judge a person based upon their physical characteristics. Mm-hmm. I have a young lady at my job, and she just looked like she mugging the nigga every time. She just looked like she mugging. Even when she smiles, she looked like she mugging you. And I just told her, I'm like, why are you so mean? And she's like, why you say that? And I'm like, because you look mean. She was like, this is how I look. And I felt really bad because I judged her without even getting a chance to know her. You know what I mean? And I think that's a perfect example of how people could judge you based upon the cover, because the cover is the outside.
Right.
But once you open that book, which is the inside, and I think a lot of people do that from a physical characteristic. You know what I mean? Because you have nothing else to go by.
It happens to me all the time. And a lot of times I'm just focused. So if I'm doing something in particular, I'm not gonna stop and like just check the mirror and see how my facial expression is, right? And so when people, look firsthand, they like, oh, she mean, or she, but as you get to know me, then it's like, you're so cool and laid back, and then you want to laugh, and I'm like, but you was just
5 minutes ago, right?
Yeah,
I was somebody totally different.
Right.
You know what I mean? So and those got to be the people that you have to keep an eye on, because you've already stereotyped me or perceived me.
Right.
So all I got to do is one thing that you don't like, and now the perception of what you had initially comes back into play. Right. I do that shit. Yeah, I thought that's what she was. You know what I mean? Exactly. So that's an excellent analogy, is to not judge a book by a cover. And it should be cliches, but in real life, you want to. And I'm that way where I give everybody the benefit of the doubt. I trust you until you show me otherwise. You know what I mean? I've gotten burnt because of that, but it didn't change the way that I view other people.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, one of the things a person will tell me, well, oh, bro, I don't fuck with that nigga. You fuck with that nigga? Yeah. Yeah, why you don't? Oh, bro, I don't. Bro. No, I can't do that.
Right.
Because whatever situation you guys had, that's your situation.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Now, if it's on some street stuff and you tell me like, oh, nigga, this is the neighborhood robber, like, bro, he be robbing niggas, yeah, I probably won't be hanging out with this dude. I probably won't put myself in a position. But, just for a person to tell you that I don't like that person, so you shouldn't like him, that's childish. You know what I mean? Because everybody deals with people on different levels. And maybe it wasn't his fault. Maybe it was your fault. So maybe I need to be keeping my eye on you. Right. You know what I mean? Exactly. So, and I think those run hand in hand, judging a book by its cover and allowing someone else to dictate who you can be friends
That's
and
right.
not be friends with.
That's
Even in the
right.
music industry, like they talk about this a lot. How if certain artists, like Mo3 got killed, so if he got killed, so people don't want to rock with these other people.
Mhm.
That's politics. You know what I'm saying? Like I gotta treat each person according to how
That's
they
right.
treat me. I can't say, because you don't like Danielle, that I'm not gonna like her.
Right.
She has to do something for me not to like her.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Okay, so we actually covered this one, but is there anything that you would like to say to single mothers, in particular? And these are some of the things that I definitely would like, for you to be doing on your podcast.
Mhm.
I'm talking to you single ladies, single mothers, and just give them a Q&A. You may propose the question
Mhm.
and then give them the answer.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I think it's going to create more dialogue. But for the ladies that's listening right now, is there anything in particular that you would like to tell them, whether they single, married, contemplating marriage, contemplating having kids?
I would say first make sure that they are taking care of themselves, right? So self-care, make sure that you are loving yourself, because that's the only way that you will be able to give that love in return. Just make sure that you're putting God first. Learn God if you don't know God. So it's no excuse. A lot of people say I didn't grow up, but it's never too late. You can get a Bible anywhere. I would say just really, think about the things that you do. Think about the things that you say. Know that you can make mistakes. It's fine. We're not perfect. But the thing is just to every day try to be the best version of yourself. And that goes for married, whether you're married, single, and just really learn the person that you're with or that you intend on being with. If you have kids already and it's not by that person, just make sure you're careful. Don't introduce them too fast, and make sure that this person is a person who is going to be a good example around your kids. Our kids watch everything that we do.
And I ain't going to cut you off, but one thing that you said that hit home is not bringing other men into your home.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I spoke earlier and I said I might have been 7 years old when my dad left.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen three men come in my mother's house all my life.
Mm-hmm.
3.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I ain't saying what I don't know what mom was doing outside.
Right.
But there was Robert, who's deceased.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Robert. There was my dad. I love my dad. And there was a young man named Reddick.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the only 3 men that I've ever seen up until now. And my mother is still living, coming to that house.
Mm-hmm.
To where I've seen a lot of women, so they got all types of niggas coming in the house. It might be just a nigga who got the weed. It might be a nigga who just coming through to pay the light bill. It may be a nigga coming through to smash. But when you bring these type of people around your kids, for one, from a female standpoint, like if you had some daughters, that's like, oh my goodness, they're gonna be letting everybody come in, the milkman, the beer man, you know what I mean?
And you have to be careful, especially with daughters, because just, unfortunately, you have a lot of men that don't have the best interest. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you just really got to guard them. And that's another reason to not bring these men around so quickly, because you don't know what they're capable of, right?
And with boys too,
Right.
now.
That
You know,
too.
yeah, I
That
mean,
too.
'cause,
That
them jokers jumping out the closet now. They ain't
Yeah.
playing no games.
That too.
So do you think, did you want to shoot for a girl? Did you be like, okay, I got 3 boys, let me just shoot one more time and see if I can get this
no.
girl? Did you want a girl?
I did.
Oh, you did?
I did. But I figured, it was definitely a reason that I didn't have one. So I'm good.
Do you think you would have been harder on the girl than the boys?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, with good reason, though. And I'm not saying that the boys don't, that you don't need to be hard with the boys, but I'm a girl. So I know, you know what I mean? Like when you're young and you coming up and you start liking boys and, you gotta watch them. And it's not that, you don't trust your child, but you know the way of the world as
true.
well. You know what I mean?
I always thought, because I don't have any kids, but I was like, well, I had to weigh the odds. And the only thing that I thought about with a girl was her potentially getting pregnant at an early age. But with the guys, I'm like, this nigga might join the gang. This nigga may be gay. He might start selling drugs. He may be out here shooting a pistol. So it's like 4 or 5 things, and not to say that there's anything wrong with your sexual choice, because that is a choice.
Mhm.
But you know, we grew up in an era where it was not accepted.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So those were some of the things that, as me growing up, saying if I had some kids, I wanted girls. I didn't want boys because I knew as a boy, some of the things that we had to go through, being profiled by the police, just so many things that the young black male has to endure, as well as peer pressure from the people in the street. You know, and I'm not saying that the women don't have to deal with it, because it seems like now the girls are doing everything the boys is doing.
I was gonna, when you start naming all that, I was gonna say in this day and time, yeah, they are.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
They
So and it's really different. Okay, so give them the podcast information where they can find you at on any social platforms and things of that nature. I see you got a TikTok. You got a
Yes.
TikTok?
Yes.
I ain't even got no TikTok. Now tell me what's up with the TikTok. You got a TikTok, what's up?
Yes, she do.
Really?
Yes, she do.
Oh, you be TikTok now.
Yes, she do. Yeah, she a character. Let me just say.
Really? So what is
Oh,
TikTok
yeah.
like?
I mean, for me, honestly, I didn't even want to do it at first. Like everything just blows up once it comes out, and I just was like, no, that's just something else I got to keep up with.
And that's what I'll be
do it.
thinking. Right.
And then, one day my husband was looking at it, and he was like, I've been on this thing for like 2 hours just looking at it. And I was like, well, I know that's nothing I want now. If it's gonna steal my time like that, but it's actually a good place. It's a good platform to still market yourself. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's a time limit, so you can only do, I think, 3 minutes the max if you're doing a video. So you can still market yourself, and I just think it gets out to more people.
Okay.
And then it's just so much like positive TikToks on there, like a lot of Christian-based things on there. And
Okay.
so I found myself doing TD Jakes and Sarah Jakes Roberts, and you lip singing to them. And I mean, it's funny, but it's powerful at the same time. You know what I mean? You look at it and you just instantly get that word, and you just like, oh wow. You know what I mean? So I was like, well, let me
start
do
TikTok.
that too. Yeah.
Okay,
and then you can share it everywhere. So I'm like,
you can share it to Facebook and Instagram?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's where they killing them at. So you can share all of that to them.
All of those platforms. You can do a message. You can copy the link. It's so many different options.
So it's still kind of stuff like Instagram where you're trying to get subscribers, or no?
It's still the same, but I mean, the only difference is because I know me, and a lot of things that I talk about is going to be longer than 3 minutes. So yeah, I still need to use both because TikTok cuts it off at 3 minutes. So if
you say you long-winded, you say 3 minutes, that's like 30 seconds.
At 3 minutes, if I'm in the meat of something,
Right.
3 minutes ain't gonna be enough. You know what I mean? And it'll cut it off. So I can use it for you. Okay,
like a snippet.
Right, and then you can go to my page. My
Can you
YouTube page.
upload something to TikTok?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? Really? You can upload something to it from another device. Like if I had something on YouTube and I cut it down to like a minute or 2 minutes, I can upload it.
Yeah, they have it's a thing called Repurpose. It's an app or website. It's called Repurpose, and you can like convert it to where you can share it to TikTok, Facebook, YouTube.
Okay.
I haven't mastered it yet. I just played around with it, but I have it,
And it's
so I know
called
you can do it. Repurpose.
See, she gave me some news I can use. I'm gonna give me a TikTok. I'm gonna give me a repurpose so I can have a purpose to keep pushing out this content. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's cool. So you got the TikTok. You're on Instagram. You got the YouTube. You got the Facebook. I mean, you have all the social platforms. So now it's really just I call it the law of conversion, and I think we was talking about that on the phone. Back in the days, it wasn't hard to get people to convert over, but I think each individual platform has its own purpose now.
Yeah.
Like YouTube, you can go to YouTube, you talk damn near 3 hours.
Right.
You know what I mean? With Instagram, I think they only give you a minute. You can go live for a certain amount of time.
Right.
Facebook, I use Facebook because Facebook, in my opinion, it was one of the more popular platforms. You can write stuff down. They wanted to read, look at stuff.
Yeah.
But on Instagram, they're not trying to read nothing.
They're not.
If you put up a post talking about reading something, they want to see you drop it like it's hot. They want to see music videos. They want to see you running out the stove with not paying for the bag. You know what I mean? So I had to realize how to use
Right.
each platform.
Yeah.
So I don't go on Instagram and, writing down posts.
Yeah.
When I put up a video, I get a lot of likes because they want to see.
Right.
On Facebook, you can make a post and people to comment. Like I had made a post, and I caught a lot of slack from it, but I was talking to one of my friends in Detroit, and what I had said was, because my whole family, everybody in my family got the shot. And don't cut my YouTube channel off because I'm talking about the jab. But everybody in my family got it. Like 97% of my people. And when I went home, everybody was like, it was really on me. Like they was really like on some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like, boy, okay, your ass gonna die. I'm gonna die. I said, everybody gonna die. I said, but all of y'all took the shot. So when I came home, I had made a post. I said, just a question. For everybody who's gotten the shot, what is in the shot and why did you take it? I started a damn riot on Facebook. Man, these people went crazy. Listen, I had went home. The reason why I went to Chicago because one of my classmates had passed. And nobody wanted to ask how she passed. But when I made the post, one of the guys was like, shit, you eat all type of food, and you don't know what's in the food. I'm sure you smoking weed. You don't know what they putting in the weed. And then one dude was like, and then the young lady was like, well, my friend died from COVID. And then the dude responded, well, it must have been her time to die because I ain't wear no mask and I'm not gonna wear no mask. And then I tried to delete the post because it went somewhere where I didn't think it was gonna go. But my friend in Detroit, he said, that's how they divide the people. This whole COVID is nothing but a division amongst people. You know what I mean? It don't have nothing to do with black or white. It has more to do with choices.
Right.
You know what I mean? And when I looked at it, I was like, wow, like this is like more deep than what I thought. You know what I mean? But in hindsight, didn't no damn body tell me what was in the shot, so I'm not taking the shot. Sorry.
Actually, did anybody answer the question?
Nobody did. Not one. They went all around it. Oh, when you had to take the measles, when you had to take a shot for the measles, you know what I told him? I said, yeah, my mother made me take the shot because that was what they were told to do. I said, but as a grown man, I have a choice on what I would like to do. You know what I mean? So when they started saying, well, you got to go take the measles in a mump shot. Yeah, I was 3-4 years old. I did what my mama told me to do. I didn't have a choice in the matter. But as a grown man, I do have that choice.
All did. I mean, in school, what were you going to do?
Right. Back then, it was safer. It was different of what things were made out of back then. They used like eggs and different things.
But they wouldn't let you go to school if you didn't get that shot, though.
Right. Now they're using
that one thing.
And all this other kind of stuff, chemicals is going in stuff. So.
Right. And like I said, it's to each its own.
Right.
I did catch COVID. I didn't have to be hospitalized, but it wasn't as bad as the flu because I caught the flu before and I had to go to the hospital. I was scared to go to the hospital because I kept telling my mom, I'm like, baby, please go to the hospital, please. And I told my mom, I was like, I ain't going. And I was like, if it's my time to go, I'm just gonna go. I said, because if I go to the hospital, I know I'm gonna catch it. I know everybody go to the hospital, they ended up, if they didn't have it, you got it. So I was like, nah, and I'm just thankful to God that my body was able to fight it. And after I fought it and, got cleared of it, everybody asked me, oh, you gonna get the shot now? No, why not? Because my body just showed me, like, look, bro, I'm gonna fight with you. If you fight, then I'm gonna fight harder than you.
Right.
So it didn't make sense for me to take it because now I don't know how my body gonna react to some shit you putting in me that you can't tell me what it is.
I think we just as a people, we do a lot of following instead of leading. You know what I mean? It's just like the status quo, like just whatever's in at the moment, we just jump on and go along with it. You know what I mean? Instead of just being able to make our own decisions.
And you think about it, think about Instagram. What they want you to do.
The same follow.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
So they've created a mindset of following instead of, like you saying, being the leader. Right. Well, I'm gonna play one more song and then we're gonna come back and I guess we're gonna close it out. It's been a really smooth interview. You know what I mean? I hope the listeners that engaged in our conversation, they learned something from it. I definitely want them to subscribe to your YouTube. Please give them your YouTube one more time in case they were slipping on their pimping. Let them know where they can find you at on the tube.
So my YouTube is Diachelle Bell, first and last name. You go in there and search it, it'll come up. It's pink and it says uniquely flawed, but it'll have my name on it also.
All right, so we're gonna be right back once again. This is a dope interview, man, and I appreciate everybody that's been checking in and tuning in. Once again, you can call in at 678-974-5940. We're gonna play a little bit money bag, y'all. I thought a broke nigga said something. All right, you good?
Warming up, huh? Yeah.
I know you saying about Chicago. My oldest son lives in Chicago.
Really?
Yeah, he moved there about 3 years ago.
Why?
Girl.
He came from Virginia, from Augusta, to go to Chicago.
Well, he's from Virginia too, so he moved here. So he's living in Augusta.
Ain't no way in the world. Where in Chicago he live?
All I know is the West Side. I think it's West Side.
That sounds so bad, right, boy.
They couldn't pay me to go back.
Thuggery and that. That and
I
that.
tried to get him back to go.
Ooh, that's
I
boy.
tried to get him back to go. Y'all listen, y'all men do it.
And I could
We
stay here.
gonna stay down this. We gonna be what the thing that
Oh yeah, and can I let them know about a conference in Chicago? It's what is it? Is it Neighborsville?
I ain't never been to no part of Chicago. Where is that? Is that the bird in Chicago or the hood?
Nice word.
Okay. No, it's a good part.
Bring my pistol too.
No, it's a good part.
I still take it though.
Yeah, I know. It's Chicago. I already know. I'm ready to take my little
You know what?
girl for real. That's just like going driving home to Detroit. Shoot, I hit 75. That's how you be on the seat.
All right. They said they thought a broke nigga said something, so I had her be quiet. You know what I'm talking about? Hey, money bag, yo, shout out to the City Girls. We are back once again with the lovely Diachelle with her podcast. Give it to me one more time so I mess it up.
Uniquely flawed.
That's what it is, uniquely flawed. Now I think you say you have some an event going on in Chicago in Naperville, Illinois.
Yes. So it's not my event, but I will be speaking. But one of my sisters in Christ, her name is Bridget Grissett, and she's hosting an event. It's a women's conference.
Okay.
April 1st through 3rd. It'll be in Naperville, Illinois.
Okay.
So it's going to be an amazing event, and I really think that a lot of people, well, women, will, at that point, just really begin to give their life to Christ.
Okay.
It's going to be live speaking, worship, praise, prayer. It's just going to be an amazing event. So,
what's the name of it?
She Prays.
Okay.
And if they need any information, on Facebook, Bridget Grissett.
Okay.
Also, they can email sheprays2022@gmail.com.
Okay, you're going to be one of the guest speakers.
Mm-hmm.
And what are you going to actually be speaking on, if I can ask?
Well, it's more than likely still going to be around the same topic. Just motivation, encouragement, insecurities, just a lot of things, that I experienced growing up that I was able to overcome. So, my thing is I just want to encourage, women that it is doable. Like, you don't have to stay broken or damaged or, feeling that you're unworthy or, there's no value.
Right.
So I just want to, it's
and listen, for any woman that feel like that, call me at 404-438-3401. I'm trying to help build you up, because most women now, they're overconfident.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, back in the days, you would see a girl with low self-esteem or low, even the women that ain't got it, they popping like they got it. You know what I mean? But it's just a different time. So for the young ladies that may be broken, there are men that are broken as well. So y'all can fix each other.
And
you know what I mean?
You're right. And it is, you know what I mean? So it's not, the only thing is this is a women's conference, but my message goes out for everybody.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, it is men that are broken and, they feel that there's no value. And I think, we do have to do a better job as women too, as, when it comes to, encouraging that man and lifting him up, and to women sometimes it can seem like, tedious or well, why I gotta do that? Because he needs it. Men don't share, a lot of things. They're not like women where we talk about everything.
Right.
Men hold a lot of things in. So we're not gonna always know what they're going through, right? And then, to come home and, nag and fuss, and then that's only gonna make them feel worse. And after a while, they're not gonna come home because it's like, why bother?
That's true.
You see what I'm
That's
saying?
true. And I
So-
think we spoke about that as far as having emotion.
Mhm.
Where women, normally they wear their emotions on their sleeves, and most men, we were taught not to show any emotion. Like nigga fall out the treehouse and damn near broke his neck, and then you start crying. What you crying for?
Right.
Fuck you mean?
Right.
Nigga, I just fell 10 feet out the
Right.
tree. You know what I
Right.
mean? Or I didn't skimp my knee.
Right.
And that's something that I've tried to become more of, which is, to let the emotion out. But the flip side is, when you feel like you want to let your emotion out, nigga be thinking, woman gonna start saying, oh, this nigga soft. Oh, this nigga around here crying. What the hell they crying for? This nigga weak. I don't want no weak man. But to me, I think the strongest men have to show emotions. If you keep that shit in and bottle it up and shake it up like it's a Coca-Cola and open it up, it's gonna explode. And I think that's what's happening in a lot of situations. We hold it in and we hold it in, and then they snap over some of the littlest things. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of that has to do with things they don't speak on as much, like domestic violence. You know what I mean? A lot of that comes from unresolved anger issues.
That's right.
On both parties.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean? So
That's right. But if you don't, I feel like as far as women, like a true woman, like who wouldn't want their man to show emotion? Because if I'm going through something, and I'm crying or, however I'm feeling,
toughen up.
You to
go on with your around here crying.
that's
Wipe them
what I
tears
need.
away.
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to, you know what I mean?
That's true.
Like like we ain't gotta hold
Show some
hands and
compassion.
sing kumbaya, but I need you to show me
Some
that you
empathy,
right.
some-
Exactly.
Right, that's true. And for all men, if you have a woman, she's definitely gonna need that. And for every man, from a woman's standpoint, allow that man to vent and to be able to get certain things off of their chest. You know what I mean? Because I see a lot of guys trick themselves off of the streets because of emotion.
Right.
So and that's good. And I wish there were a lot more women. And that's something you can also talk about on. Let these
That's
women
a
know.
that's a learning
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
I wasn't always, like that. So it's growth. It's feeling uncomfortable, enough to acknowledge like where your opportunities are. You know what I mean? And listening sometimes, not being so quick to, vocalize, right? Because that's really just, things that it goes back to insecurities and things that, you were taught or how you were raised. Sometimes you have to just listen to what the person is saying and really understand what they're saying before you take it a certain type of way. You know what I mean?
That's
So
true.
listening to understand, not just listening to
hear.
Yeah.
Right, that's true. I mean, because a lot of people you can talk to, but comprehending is something totally different. Because we can have a conversation and a person may not comprehend.
Right.
They can hear it,
Right.
but they're not really comprehending
Right.
it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that's what I like about going live on Facebook is that the people will question you. They will ask, you know what I mean? Well, what does this mean? Like, how do you feel about that? And that's what makes for a great podcast because now it's engaging.
Right.
And me and Russo was talking about merchandising. You got a website?
Yes.
What's the name of the website?
uniquelyflawed.com.
And listen, you smiling, but keep it short and simple and sweet. So when they Google you, they could be able to find everything about you because they don't, I used to tell artists, well, nigga, you famous Joe on Instagram, and then you that nigga on TikTok, and then on Facebook, you forever young.
Yeah.
Nigga, who the hell finna find you?
Yeah.
Bro, you got too much going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Keep
All
it
my
short and
names are the
simple.
same.
Yeah, and since you've done that, you'll be much easy identifiable on the Google network.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was really smart.
Yeah.
So well, I guess we're gonna wrap it up. And before we wrap it up, do you want to give any shout outs? Do you want to give any information where they can reach you at about maybe possibly going live with you on your podcast, or maybe come do an interview or being a guest speaker as you will be in Naperville, Illinois?
So yeah, I want to give first definitely glory to God, because He is moving in my life and just a lot of things that he's working for my good. So can't forget that. And also to my husband, who's been a really big support system. And yeah, so he's just incredible. So I want to thank him. His name is Kevin, so I don't want to say that.
Kevin with a K or a C?
Kevin with a K.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, that's Kevin Senior. So also, well, to Danielle for making this possible. So
Alright.
I'm very thankful to her. The conference again, it is She Prays 2022 at gmail.com. Facebook, you can just look me up, Diachelle Bell. It rhymes. So you can look me up on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok is Lady Di 903. My website, uniquelyflawed.com. My podcast, Uniquely Flawed. They can message me, if they're interested in possibly doing an interview or just got questions, they can always just hit me up in the inbox.
Okay, that's dope. And maybe sometime soon, you could do like a Zoom interview, and we can download the link, and you maybe can add the Zoom interview to your YouTube page.
I would love that.
You know what I mean?
I would love that.
So, so once again, man, this has been a very pleasurable interview. It was a little different because most of my interviews are about hip hop and music, but this is about real life. This is about mental health. This is about, encouragement, uplifting, spirituality, positive vibes. And those are some of the things that, if you giving somebody some real positive information and that person is still negative, then you know what you're getting from that person.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because everybody's not going to be positive.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm pessimistic. You know what I mean? Like for the award show, I've already told myself, if I break even, I'm cool.
Right.
I told myself that last year. I said, well, shit, if I break even, I'm good money. Why you say you break even? Why you trying to make some money? No, because if I be like, well, shit, I'm trying to make $10,000 and then I only make $500, I'm gonna feel like it wasn't a success.
Right.
Then we talking about the word success.
Yep.
So I'd be a pessimistic with saying, worst case scenario, I break even.
Right.
So if I make a profit of $1,500, $2,000, I'm not giving 10% to the church. But I'm just saying, I may, but I don't have a church. I might give it to you, and you can spread the 1% out to the church. You know what I mean? But that was just a little joke.
So I know I got it. I got the 1%.
Yeah, that's real though. Yeah. You know what I mean? And for all the churches we spoke on it, I would love to just see a lot more churches here in Atlanta in these streets.
Yeah.
Even when people get killed, I see people marching. I see whites, Mexicans, blacks, but I don't see the church out here. You know what I mean? I really don't. I really would like to see the church become more active in these streets. You know what I mean? Well, however you can do it, just show your face, because you may meet one guy who you can enlighten that can be the spark that can change the world. Right. Just that one person. Right. You know what I mean? So,
and that's why it's important for me too, because you just never know, who you could impact. Right. And make a difference.
And then a lot of the parents who may not have all the answers, the first time they see a church prayer, they be like, I don't talk to that man about the church. That man go to church. Going out there. You know what I mean? And even back to Jehovah's Witnesses. And I respect Jehovah's Witnesses. I took a respect for them because I said, for y'all to go be knocking on people's doors. Listen, morning, noon, and night. Winter, spring, summer, fall. I had to respect that. You know what I mean? Like, I speak out my window. I be like, shit, they come around the corner. Don't open the blinds. Just don't do nothing. They'll go away. But once I started allowing them to come in, because my brother, he's a Jehovah's Witness as well. I've been to the hall. I read that You Can Live Forever on Paradise. And, it was a very encouraging environment. You know what I mean? It was good. Like, spirituality is good. You know what I mean? Even when I started reading the Quran, I like to read. You know what I mean? I like to read because, you get a better understanding the more you read. I also, when I had to sit down, I read the Bible like 3 times. You know what I mean? Like the whole Bible. You know what I mean? Because when you're at jail, you're going to find something to do. You know what I mean? And, each time I read it, it gave me a clear understanding. And I think when you read anything, like you can read a book the first time, and then you read it again, and you get a better understanding than you did the first time. And then the third time, you're like, damn.
Right. Like, each time you learn something different. we learn more. So you're right.
And to all you kids, man, pick up a book. You know, read something. You know what I mean? Because reading is fundamental. Mom used to always tell me, the more you read, the bigger your vocabulary.
That's right.
The more you can speak to people, because people speak to you how you talk.
Yeah.
If you talk slow, people gonna treat you slow.
You're right.
You know, so
You're right.
well, I am gonna close out once again, man. I definitely appreciate Diachelle for coming in. Big shout out to Russo. But we're gonna definitely close this out. I will be doing a replay of the interview for the people who didn't tune in today, and I will be posting the event in Naperville, Illinois, on all of my social networks. So if you're in the area, 815-773-312. If you can make your way out to Naperville, especially ladies only. I think y'all have a treat. You know, be able to see Ms. Diachelle speak. So with that being said, I definitely appreciate everybody. I am going to close out. What am I close out with? What song can I close out with? I don't even know what I'm gonna close out with, but I'm gonna give y'all. Matter of fact, I'm not even gonna give y'all that. I'm just gonna go ahead and close this show on out. We will be back at 7 o'clock for the Movers and Shakers show with myself and Jackpot Gamble. Once again, man, March 26th. Please mark the date. The tickets are already here. If you want to get a ticket, you can definitely pull up on me at the radio station, or we will come to you. $20 in advance, and it's gonna be a slick ticket at the door, so you might as well get your tickets in advance. All right, I'm gonna leave you with nominated for single R&B track of the year, Official Fireman featuring Drina. The track is called Freaky. So I'm gonna leave y'all with Official Fireman song Freaky.
Cut it. That was great, girl.
Fabulous.
That was great.